LeBron James losing by 41 against Miami Heat? That is not something that happens very often. NBA biggest stars tend to play in either good or very good teams. However, even then, they can lose a game big time from time to time. This loss by LeBron James to Miami Heat wouldn't be in the top 10 of biggest defeats by greatest NBA stars. Who will be there? Who lost by more than 40? I will even give you a small spoiler. There will be 4 players that lost their game by more than 50 points. But as always, let's have a quick honorable mentions. It's incredible, but Magic Johnson never lost a game in NBA by 30 points. His highest defeat was 28 against San Antonio Spurs in 1984. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's highest defeat was by 36 points when he was still playing for Milwaukee Bucks. The loss was against Buffalo Braves. Allen Iverson once lost by 37 points with Detroit Pistons in 1997. Tim Duncan by 38 with Seattle Supersonics in 2001. Hakeem Olajuwon's biggest defeat was by 40 points with Portland Trail Blazers in lockout-shortened season in 1999. Then we have few players that lost by 42 in their careers. Giannis Antetokounmpo suffered such a defeat in 2021 against Miami Heat. Dirk Nowitzki did the same thing against Philadelphia 76ers in 2017. Even the great Bill Russell lost a game by 42 with Philadelphia 76ers back in 1966. In 2006, Miami Heat were trying to start their title defense season with a bang, but they lost in an opener with Chicago Bulls by 42 points. In the same game, we saw the biggest defeats of Dwayne Wade's and Shaquille O'Neal's career. Now it's time to go to top 10, and with number 10 we have Oscar Robertson. It was the 3rd of March 1965 when his Cincinnati Royals were playing Washington Bullets. Robertson didn't play such a bad game, he even scored 20 points, also his teammate Jerry Lucas ended with 20, but the Bullets were much better. They won by 43 points and were led by Wilt Bellamy, who scored 32 points and had 16 rebounds. Now we go to numbers 9, 8 and 7, and we begin with Kevin Garnett. KG often refers to the one season he spent with the Brooklyn Nets in 2013 as the most miserable of his career, and he wasn't lying. During this forgettable season, Garnett and the Nets were handed the worst loss of his career, at the hands of the Portland Trail Blazers. Garnett would just see 14 minutes of playing time as a starter, shooting 2 out of 3 field goals and finishing with 6 points and 7 rebounds. Meanwhile, Portland got 41 points off the bench from Mo Williams and Will Barton. Combined, they shot 16 out of 26 from the floor and were perfect from the free throw line. Garnett would be traded the following season back to where it all started, with the Minnesota Timberwolves, before retiring in 2016. His game was lost by 44 points. When Michael Jordan returned to the NBA in 2001 with the Washington Wizards, he was already considered the greatest player that ever lived. On 16th of January 2002, against the New Jersey Nets, his comeback was met with the worst performance and loss of his career, putting a temporary stain on his return. In the game, Jordan would finish with just 10 points on 4 of 14 shooting, as the Nets went on to win big, 111-67. The Nets got a big night from Kid Van Horn, who finished with 27 points. Jason Kidd scored 10 points and dished out 12 assists. You might be wondering why I didn't mention the game when LeBron James lost by 41 to Miami Heat. Well, mainly because he had a bigger defeat once. In November 2023, his Lakers lost by 44 to Philadelphia 76ers, which is even more interesting when you compare one number to the one from Michael Jordan's game. When MJ lost to New Jersey Nets, he was 38 years and 333 days old. When LeBron lost to the Sixers, he was also 38 years, but 332 days old, which means he was one day younger than Jordan when he lost that big. James finished that game with 18 points and 5 assists, but was no match for 61 combined points from Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. Number 6 on the list belongs to Karl Malone. A few seasons before he joined the Lakers as a free agent, former MVP Karl Malone was dealt the worst loss of his career from the team that was just beginning their ascent to the top of the NBA mountain. In the middle of their 2000 championship season, the Lakers would run the Jazz off the Staples Center floor with a 113-67 win. Malone shot just 5 of 11 from the floor and finished with 14 points in the loss. Shaquille O'Neal led all scorers with the 25 points and 5 blocks, while Glenn Rice also added 20 points. Number 5 goes to Kobe Bryant. From performance point of view, Kobe Bryant's final season in the NBA in 2016 was a forgettable one outside of his 60-point performance in his final game against the Utah Jazz. Just 2 weeks before the final game, Bryant took the court in Utah one final time where he was handed the worst loss of his career, 123-75, courtesy of Jazz. Bryant was abysmal in his performance, shooting just 1 of 11 from the floor in 27 minutes of play and finishing with 5 points. For Utah, Rodney Hood led all scorers with 30 points, so in a way Utah Jazz avenged the biggest loss of Karl Malone's career from 16 years prior. At number 4, we have Wilt Chamberlain, and for the first time we have a player that lost a game with more than 50 points margin. The legendary battles between Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell will live on forever in the annals of the NBA history as some of the greatest competition that game has ever seen. However, on one night in 1962, a 51-point blowout loss likely tipped the scales of the 1962 MVP race, when Chamberlain's Philadelphia Warriors were dealt a beatdown courtesy of Russell's Celtics. In the game, Russell held Chamberlain to only 13 of 30 shooting from the floor, although he would finish with 30 points and 27 rebounds on the night. Russell finished with 21 points and 23 rebounds of his own in the resounding victory. Finally, we go to a tie on numbers 1, 2 and 3. The margin of loss is 52 points. I will start with the freshest of games. In March 2024, so around 9 months ago, Boston Celtics had a blowout win over Golden State Warriors and Stephen Curry. Curry was questionable to play with a knee injury. Like the warrior he is, he suited up and hit the court. Once the game was out of hand and their strategy of letting Jaylen Brown shoot the ball completely backfired. Curry went on to the bench having played just 16 minutes and scoring only 4 points on 2 of 13 shooting. Celtic stars Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum combined for 56 points on 20 of 32 shooting to lead the blowout. But Stephen Curry isn't the only current superstar to have suffered a 52-point loss in his career. Kevin Durant had a familiar fade back in 2008 as a rookie, just getting acclimated to the league. As a member of the Seattle Supersonics in their final season, Durant led the team on the road against the Denver Nuggets. He was decent in the game, scoring 23 points on 8 of 12 shooting. However, the trio of Carmelo Anthony, Allen Iverson and Kenyon Martin couldn't be stopped, each finishing with 23 points or more. The Nuggets would also get 74 points from their bench, including 19 from both J.R. Smith and Jackie Atkins. Their 168 points in the game are still tied for the 9th most by a team in NBA history. During his 8th and final season with the Philadelphia 76ers in 1991-92 season, Charles Barkley would also suffer a historic 52-point loss. Sitting 26-30 headed into a matchup with the 19-36 Charlotte Hornets, Barkley and the 76ers laid an egg, with the All-Star power forward shooting just 3 of 10 in 30 minutes of action, finishing with 7 points and 10 rebounds. The bulk of Charlotte's scoring would come from their bench, with Del Curry leading all scorers with 22 points. Barkley and the Sixers won 35 games that season, missing the NBA playoffs, which ultimately resulted in Barkley's trade to Phoenix in the offseason. Okay, that's it for today. As always, thank you for watching, and I see you next time. Bye!